We're going to prepare a dose of epi for a patient and administer it with an IM injection. I'm going to go through all the steps, recognizing that some concessions will be made in the field without compromising a sterile injection for the patient. Start off by preparing your supplies. We're going to use our medication, epi in this case. Alcohol swabs is needed, 2x2 if you're going to be using it. Eye protection, Band-Aid if needed, gloves, and the needle we're going to use. In this case, we're going to use these Sol Care safety needles that are designed for an IM dose. I'll show you the needle when we get to that point. An introduction to the amps. You're going to check when you lift it out. You're going to check for the vial integrity and make sure it's not cracked or broken. Make sure the medication side isn't cloudy or frozen. Check the medication itself. Here we have epinephrine for injection. You're going to check the date. We're good. It's right till 2025. And you're going to check the concentration. This concentration is 1 milligram in 1 mil. If you have medication stuck in the top, happens often, a couple ways. You can remove that by just swirling it in a circle to get that out. You could also just flick it to remove that. And there, with medication down the bottom. Some of these have a line around it, which means you can crack it in any direction, always cracking it away from you. Sometimes they come with an amp cracker on top, built in, just makes it easier and it won't shatter if you squeeze it away from you, won't cut your fingers. And some amps have a dot on them. That dot has a tiny little cut on the throat below it. You face that away from you, and when you crack it away from you. When you're ready to crack the vial itself, two ways to go about it. You can either grab a 2x2 and fold that around the top for when you crack it away from you, making sure that there's no fluid in the top. Or you could use that alcohol prep pad that you just opened up, put it inside, and you could use that to crack. Either way, if that top shatters, it's not going to cut through your glove. Crack it away from you and double check. There can be sharp edges on there. Doesn't mean you need to throw it out, but make sure you don't cut yourself if you've got a sharp edge. So you're ready to drop your medication. Note that even needles like this do have an expiry date. This is 2024-02-13. So we're just before that date actually, but open her up. And then first thing you should do when you open one of these needles, any of them, is just move it a little bit. Slide it in and out, and you break the friction that the manufacturer started this off with. So we're going to draw the medication into the syringe. Uncap your syringe. When you have your vial, just the surface tension will stop it from coming out if you were to flip it upside down. So you put your needle in. If you do want to draw it up like this, that's fine. Just don't let your needle go all the way into the bottom, because hitting that needle against the bottom of the vial can dent it or damage it, causing it to hurt the patient a little more. So my favorite way is to do this, draw it up, and if you touch your hands together, everywhere you go, both hands will go together. So it doesn't matter if you're hitting bumps in the road or if you're getting jostled by someone beside you. Needles into the fluids, and while it's in the fluids, you can draw out, let the bubbles go up over it, draw out whatever medication you need. I'm going to get an extra air bubble in there just for demonstration. And then keep drawing up some more medication. Draw up more than you need. If you need 0.5, draw it up to 0.8 because you're going to lose some as you zero it. Here, I've drawn extra. I've got up to 0.8. Pretty good for bubbles. There's a tiny one at the bottom there. It's probably not an issue, but I'm going to flick that out. Now I've got no real air down there at the bottom, but I have way more medication than I need. So I'm going to zero that down. Bubbles are the first ones to go out. And bring it down to my dose of medication. It's going to be my dose for the patient in front of me. As you're zeroing that medication, just make sure that whatever that needle is pointed at isn't your partner, the patient, or the family pet. It's not the end of the world if it gets on the ground, but you could also just zero that down into a sharps container. Now you've got your medication in hand, you've got the patient who's already been cleaned off, and your site selected. You're going to do your 5 hours of medication administration right before you give it to the patient. You're going to double check right patient. This is the patient that's experiencing the symptom you need to treat. Right drug, we know that this is epinephrine for injection we're giving, and we know that that's what the patient is having an issue with. We know this is the right time. You've checked the expiration date on the medication. It's good to go. This is the right dose. You do another check of your medication, and here I have 0.5 milligrams of my epinephrine. And in this case, the epinephrine was, if we can see it on camera, there's a 1 milligram and 1 mil. And the right route. This is an IM injection that we're going to be giving. So in this case, instead of having our skin exposed, we're going to be going through the pant leg of someone who's out in the field. Working on it like that. Mark your site, know where you're going, and you're going to bury your needle right to the hub for the IM injection. Once you're in, draw back a little bit. Make sure that you're not getting blood there, which would suggest that you're in a vein. As long as you're good, you've done this aspiration, nothing there, and inject all the way. What matters is when you put the needle in, you went fast, and you're not going slowly through the outside of the skin where the most pain would be. You hold it in there if you can for a few seconds, withdraw your needle, and you can massage the site. These needles are safety needles, so once you've given the injection, you can force that plunger down the rest of the way, and it will connect and pull the needle back with it when you draw it back. So you draw the whole needle out, and once you've got to that point, you'll feel a click. The needle is now secure in there and won't be coming out the end, and this part can be twisted and broken off. Both of those can now be dropped into a sharps container or stowed away safely for when you return to civilization. A reminder, that broken vial, both the bottom and the top of it, are also considered sharps and should be disposed of safely or even put back into the case. Don't leave that for somebody else to take care of though. When you get back, sharp it away yourself.